Hello everyone, I'm Victor Omoayo of V Knowledge on Cinema, and in my last video I talked about my favorite films of 2013, and this time I want to talk about some real cinematic clunkers, in other words, the worst films of 2013 that I have had the displeasure of seeing. Now usually I tend to avoid watching bad movies whenever possible, but in those rare chances when I do come across a piece of crap, you just know that I have to lay the smackdown on some candy ass films. And believe me, these 6 films in particular, this sinister 6 of shit, these films have stoked my ire and have disappointed me profoundly on various levels. Especially my number 1 pick, which I just freaking hated. I mean, body, mind, and soul. My number 1 pick is a film that I can't stand on any conceivable level. And oh man, I can't wait to talk about that film. But along the way, there are 5 other films that we have to cover first. So, without further ado, please sit back and enjoy this rundown of my list of the worst films of 2013. Let's begin my worst of the year rundown with M. Night Shyamalan's latest offering to the big screen, After Earth. Now, in fairness, After Earth is not a terrible film. In fact, I find it to be the least terrible film from this once promising director post Unbreakable and The Sixth Sense. And quite frankly, Shyamalan's output couldn't get much worse than The Last Airbender. What the hell was he thinking about? Still in all, After Earth just feels mediocre and inconsequential. The plot is simple enough. 1,000 years into the future, the father and son characters of Will Smith and his real-life son Jaden crash land on Earth, which is uninhabited by humans. Rendered immobile, Smith orders his son to retrieve a beacon so they can be rescued, and so the young boy must travel alone across pretty-looking forests and fending off phony-looking oversized CG animals while being hunted by a grotesque plot device which he must confront in the film's climax. The whole movie is predictable from the opening to end credits, and it's hard to root for Will Smith's character, a stoic and highly disciplined military man who apparently is allergic to human emotion, because suppressing one's sense of fear means voiding one's personality altogether. As for Jaden, is his performance as awful as critics say? No, not really. It's just as bland as vanilla potatoes. This whole film is obviously a vanity project designed to push the son of the Fresh Prince as Hollywood's next leading star, but that's a tall order, considering that his character is bereft of charisma or charm. Well, at least the film looks nice, and there's some unique set design, but overall, After Earth amounts to nothing more than a forgettable rental, and sad to say, Shyamalan doesn't have what it takes anymore. I don't think any serious film watcher expects the world of Michael Bay, the auteur who unleashed the god-awful Transformers flicks, Bad Boys 2 and Armageddon, but his latest feature Pain and Gain reaches a special level of stupid. The film is based on the real-life exploits of the Sun Gym Gang, a Florida-based group of meathead bodybuilders in the 1990s who kidnapped and tortured a guy into signing away all of his assets to them so they can live it up in luxury. Now, I don't know about you, but I think that making a straight-up comedy based on real-life criminals and killers is not only a giant middle finger to their victims and their families, but presenting this story in the style of a slick, MTV-esque music video is the definition of social irresponsibility. I can see filmmakers like the Coen brothers, Paul Thomas Anderson, Antoine Fuqua, and Martin Scorsese handling this material with seriousness and nuance, but in the hands of Michael Bay, a dude who's damn near 50, yet has the puerile sensibilities of a 13-year-old with explosions and porn on the brain? Pain and Gain is as wrong-headed and vacuous as its 3 jacked-up protagonists. I have 2 words for Marky Mark, Anthony Mackie, and the People's Champ. Do better. Michael Bay, here are 2 words for you as well. Just retire. Make no mistake, people, A Good Day to Die Hard is not a Die Hard movie, and Bruce Willis is not John McClane. No, instead what we have here is a poorly directed, poorly scripted actioner filled with so much illogical nonsense that it makes Live Free or Die Hard look like a Christopher Nolan masterwork. John McClane is absent in this film, and in his place is an old Bruce Willis who clearly doesn't give 1/10 of a shit. He's just there to collect a paycheck before going home and wiping his posterior with it. Now, where do I start with this bullshit? Huh? How about the story? Okay. One bad Russian wants another bad Russian killed, and John McClane's son is a CIA agent who's after one of these bad Russians, and something about missing files and nukes. Oh, Jesus, who the hell knows? You know, in what world do we live in where a Die Hard film has an incomprehensible storyline? Okay, who wrote and directed this crap anyway? Let's see here. Okay. Oh, the scribe of X-Men Origins Wolverine and the director of Max Payne. In-fracking-credible. And the John McClane in this film, geez, talk about missing the points of his character. This isn't the same everyman wisecracking cop who in the first 3 films was the antithesis of the Stallone and Schwarzenegger action heroes of the 80s and 90s. Bodily injuries no longer impede McClane's progress. In this movie, he's invincible, as well as a sociopathic ugly American who apparently isn't troubled in the slightest by killing innocent people in a horrendously edited car chase in the streets of Moscow. Oh, and how about the film being so carelessly written that apparently the villains have a showdown at Chernobyl, and logically they all wear hazmat uniforms to protect themselves from the radiation? How come Bruce Willis and his son traipse around there with no type of anti-radiation gear and don't double over, bleeding out of every orifice from radiation poisoning? How come some of the villains didn't even wear hazmat suits to begin with? Say, why is the dialogue so inane? You missed. Interesting choice. Why do the visual effects look like something from a PS3 or Xbox 360 launch title? Is there anything remotely positive about A Good Day to Die Hard? Well, it's 90 minutes long, so that counts for something. Shit. Okay, there's a plethora of reasons why The Lone Ranger received such a critical and commercial drumming this past summer, barely breaking profits in theaters. And to be honest, I wasn't expecting much going into it, but I gotta tell you, I didn't expect this movie to be so boring. One of the problems of The Lone Ranger is that it is 2.5 hours long. It's just as long as The Dark Knight, 15 minutes shorter than The Dark Knight Rises, and nowhere near as engaging or captivating as those films. Why is that the case, you ask? Well, let's begin with the Lone Ranger himself, played by Armie Hammer. This supposed hero is a complete and utter toolbox from beginning to end, so irritating and unlikable that you're not compelled to care about him on any level. Furthermore, this Lone Ranger guy is by and large a massive ingrate. For example, there's one scene where he escapes being buried alive and leaves his companion Tonto to die alone, but comes back for him only because Tonto knows where they need to go next. So essentially, if this Ranger jackass had all the answers at his disposal, he would have left an innocent man to die a horrible death just cause. And this is the guy we're supposed to root for? What a dick. Oh, and let's talk about Johnny Depp as Tonto. That moronic fool Tonto. You know, this entire movie should have been called Tonto because it actually is him that delivers most of the real heroics in the whole film. But you know what, y'all? I am sick and I am tired of what I'd like to call the Jack Sparrowization of Johnny Depp's roles during the past 10 years. Tonto reminds me of Jack Sparrow because, guess what? It is Jack Sparrow, the Native American edition. You know, why can't Depp just play a regular, grounded, non-eccentric character for once, like in Donnie Brasco, Blow, or What's Eating Gilbert Grape? Wow, think about that. The fact that I have to reference his roles from over 15 years ago, what does that tell you? And here's another thing about the Lone Ranger. It is one confused movie. For what's supposedly a family-friendly action western, you get a fair amount of gritty violence. You see people getting shot in grisly fashion and even a small amount of blood, plus you get to see the killer of the Lone Ranger's brother cut out his heart in front of him. Not to mention the awkward framing device of an old Tonto retelling his adventures to a little boy. Did that child really stand there on his feet for 2.5 hours, listening to this loopy old man talk about his younger days? Where were that boy's parents anyway? And since old Tonto is telling this story, how come we're watching scenes of other characters dealing with one another in which Tonto is not even involved or should have knowledge about in any way, shape, or form? You see, that right there is an elementary screenwriting mistake. Despite an admittedly cool train sequence near the film's end, in the final analysis, the Lone Ranger is a failure. Oh Jesus, here we go. Here is my number one, the worst film of 2013 that I have had the unfortunate displeasure of bearing witness to. This is a film that legitimately made me angry, and I'm not joking now. I was seething at every wasted minute and second of the near 2 hours I spent watching this cinematic bowel movement, and that film, ladies and gentlemen, is Identity Thief. What the shit was that? When I think of Identity Thief, the word that comes to mind is un. That's right, un. Unfunny, unsatisfying, unremarkable, unintelligent, and I do mean unintelligent, for this film is so idiotically written and constructed that you just have to stand in awe. In awe of its sheer incompetence. This film, for all of the bad movies I've sat through in 2013, is the most humorously, creatively, and logically impoverished motion picture I've seen all year. Here's the basic story. Jason Bateman's character, a guy named Sandy Bigelow Patterson, finds out that an identity thief, played by Melissa McCarthy, has stolen his identity, and as a result has plummeted his good name and credit standing. So, Sandy has to travel from his Denver home to Florida, where he alone must apprehend this wretched woman and bring her all the way back to Colorado in order to resolve things. Now you may be wondering, but Victor, why don't the cops just arrest her instead? Good question. You see, Bateman's character asks the police that very same question, and they even find out who she is and pull her mugshot. But get this, check this shit out. The cops tell him that they can't do anything to help poor Sandy. The film blatantly insults our intelligence by telling him that they legally can't help him out to resolve the problem immediately, but that he's more than welcome to kidnap this stupid broad and bring her to the cops himself. You have got to be shitting me. Anyway, Melissa McCarthy's odious character is a prime reason why I freaking hate this film so damn much. You know, if there's a word for her aggressively stupid, aggressively annoying character, it is repugnant, reprehensible, repulsive, revolting. There is not one relatable or empathic element to her character. She is an utterly remorseless sociopath who is ruining this poor guy's life, yet the film somehow still has the testicular gumption to make us feel sorry for her for when she starts crying about how much she loves kids and, check this out, and that she's stealing other people's money so she can buy things for children's charities. Mull over that for a moment. She's not a real criminal scumbag shitbird who should be on the receiving end of a bullet souffle, or a shiv to the spine inside of a prison shower. Oh no, she's just a modern day Robin Hood. God damn it. Listen, movie, I understand that you are tailor-made for popcorn-munching mouth breathers who have no wherewithal to look at their entertainment critically, but don't you dare think that we are all idiots, okay? McCarthy's character, from the first frame to the last, is a thoroughly, truly, deeply unlikable, trifling ass heifer bitch who is not in the least bit clever, witty, entertaining, or funny. Every line that tumbles out of her oafish, orcish, odious mouth induces eye-rolling and exasperated sighs of frustration. She is as every bit as horrible and hateful as Michael Fassbender and Sarah Paulson's roles from 12 Years a Slave. And I'll tell you another thing, this movie suffers from a severe lack of any meaningful character development. You see, this is a road trip movie, and in films like these, you have two characters in which one of them undergoes a noticeable and natural change throughout their journey. So by the time they reach the end of the final act, one or both characters learn something new and meaningful about themselves, and change ensues. This film, on the other hand, Identity Thief is one of the most insipid and frustrating movies I've seen in years. And anyone with a modicum of discerning taste should not even entertain the notion of seeing this garbage-ass film at all. If you are an identity thief, or if you somehow find someone having their information stolen and seeing their lives ruined as a result humorous, then you are a piece of excrement, no good lowlife, maternal fornicator, and I hope that all of the most heinous and horrible things that can happen to a human being happen solely to you. Identity Thief, I leave you with 3 final words. Motherfuck you! Alright people, so there it is, my list of 2013's disappointments on film, and if you just so happen to have seen any of these films this year, then believe me when I say that you have my sympathies. And as always, thank you so much for watching, thank you for your support and encouragement as well, I really appreciate it. I'm Victor Omoayo, and there's more video essay goodness to be had on my V Knowledge channel.